Let me just explain to everybody something that's been working very well recently for people, and I wanted you guys to be a mega part of the plan. And what that plan is today and why we're here and what this is really all about is going to be very, very simple. So recently I had an opportunity, and I know we have callers calling in from everywhere. I recently had an opportunity to two times share this information with our leadership community, with a group of students that have been focused on business and marketing and really working on their health and their relationships at a really high level, like people that are very, very serious about developing themselves personally, professionally, emotionally, mentally, in so many different ways. And I shared this material with them, and every time I would share it out of the two, and it's interesting because I would talk about it, what I mean by that, and people would say, hey, that topic you did the other day, that was it. That was what I was looking for. That was really different. That was really deep. It was really helpful. It was really something that I needed to know. It was a great way to have an opportunity to look at what was going on with me and really put together a solid plan. So it hit me. I said, you know what, why keep it for a small group of people when I can share it with everybody? So I figure I would share this with you here today, and we have lots of people here listening right now to you. You heard all the noise earlier, and all I'm going to ask you guys to do here as you're listening, whether you're hearing this online or you're hearing this auditorily over the phone, however you're connecting with us today, whatever position you chose to connect with us today, you're going to hear this the right way. I will tell you, if you're here live with us and you have the ability to, there'll be an option later during the call, and it's going to be like a first-come, first-served basis thing. If I do open up the lines, there'll be a little thing called star and 7 on your phone. If you're on Skype, I'm not certain how it works that well, but there'll be an option called star 7 on your phone. It's not literally the word star and 7. It's the little star sign and a 7. When it comes to opening up the lines, I'm going to tell you if it's relevant during that topic, if it's appropriate, you have something to bring to the table and share. I will tell you that the exercise we're about to do, which really reveals a lot of interesting stuff about your life, about where you're at, and really how to get to where it is you desire to go very, very quickly. What I'm going to ask you to do is to find that quiet spot, open up the lines, and allow yourself to answer the question that I ask you. And if you don't get through and you're pushing star 7 and you can't get through in the line, don't get frustrated. Just kind of, sit with there and really listen to the other stuff that people share here today. And the biggest reason I want to make this interactive is I want to make it very, very real, because when I first trained and shared this information, the biggest thing was it was a group of people that we knew each other well, we worked together, and I figured, if I share this with a group of people that knew each other well, it will go over well. But then if I shared it with another group that didn't know each other as well and they weren't as comfortable with each other, I said, man, it still worked in an amazing way for them. So let's get rocking here. You're going to need a pen and paper. You're going to have a pen and paper handy. This training is going to be about an hour. And I say about an hour because it's very important. It's about your life. If it goes an hour and 10, an hour and 5, if it goes 55 minutes, I can't commit to how long it's going to be because it's based on results, what I'm sharing with you, not based on a time clock. So I'm going to encourage you to listen to the end, because the last thing I can guarantee is going to be the most important piece of the entire puzzle. It's what I call the realization of achievement of what it is you want. So you're definitely going to want to stick around to the duration of the call, because you never know when that one little piece of information is going to make a major impact in certain areas of your life. So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm excited about it. Those of you that have never had an opportunity to work with me before, I'm Michael Bernoff. If you are Skyped in by somebody else, you got three-way called in by somebody else, conference lined in, you want to thank them for, introducing you to our material and what it is we're doing. But at the end of the day, what I'm going to tell you is all about you. It's all about you creating the changes and shifts that you want in your life. And if you haven't had a chance to operate or work with me in the past, I will tell you I have one function that I do here while I'm here on earth. And the biggest function, especially when it comes to, my profession or my purpose here on this earth, is getting people results and teaching people just like you how to relate with yourselves in a way that allows you to get what it is you want out of your life. I've learned that so many people are living an average life, and they don't want to live an average life, and they look at the concept of their life and say, if I could just get things to be better than they are, if I could just get things to be more the way I want them to be, if I could just get things to change the way I want them to, then my life will be the way I want it to be. But the challenge is, when I look at my life, it's not that it's bad. And you may be saying to yourself, your life isn't bad. There's nothing wrong with it. Or you might be saying to yourself, you know what, Michael, there are some challenges I'm currently having in this area or that of my life. Or actually, I'm doing really, really good, and I don't want it to fall off again. This exercise is going to work with two very distinct types of people, and I'm going to tell you these are the only two types of people this is going to assist. And you're going to figure out very quickly which of these categories you put yourself in. And if you wind up in one of these boxes, boom, at the end of this training here today, you guys are going to have a very, very powerful lesson that you're going to learn about yourself and about the world and about really how to get more of what you desire out of your life. Here are the two categories of people that I've been able to assist, and hundreds of thousands of people, 35 different countries that I've worked with, and there's two categories of people, and here they are. Number one, if you have something you want in your life and you're doing okay, but you just can't figure out how to get it. It's eluded you. You've had a roller coaster of a life. It's been up and down. Whether you procrastinate from time to time, or you're a pusher, you're a doer, but you have this thing, this light at the end of the tunnel, and you can see it, and you just can't figure out how to get it, and it's eluded you, or sometimes you can grab it and you have a hold of it, and then sometimes it runs away. Well, that's one group of people. You're doing well. You want more. You just want to get that more. Whatever that more is, more passion in your relationship, more, excitement in your body, more energy in your body, more wealth in your bank account, whatever it is. The other group of people I work with is you also have something you want. You have something you desire, yet you just can't figure out how to get yourself from stuck to start. You're stuck. You procrastinate. You're scared. You have tendencies to hold back. You know what you need to do, but you're having a challenge getting yourself to do it. So at the end of the day, every person that we work with that we're able to help has something that you do, or you wouldn't be here today. And it's a very simple statement. You have something you want. But the question is, how do you get what it is that you want? Well, most of us, when we look at our lives, we take a look, and I'm sure you've done this before, and if you were to look in the mirror, you would say, I don't get it. I have the ability. You talk yourself into it. You read a personal development book. You get excited. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to do it. I mean, you could write it down on a piece of paper. I mean, there's no reason. If they can do it, you can do it. If you've done it before, why can't you do it again? How do you create that consistency in your life? Well, at the end of the day, the real answer for how to create this in your life is really to understand four basic things that I'm going to share with you today that are very, very simple. And I really want to call them four simple questions. If you've had an opportunity to do this exercise with me before, I will tell you that a second time around, a third time around, a fourth time around, a fifth time around doing this exercise is going to assist you, because our lives shift. And you may have asked yourself similar questions to this in the past. Yet I'll tell you that as our lives change, as our lives progress, as things become more important and different in our lives, you realize that our outcome of what we're looking to gain from that typically starts to change as well. One of the examples that I give when I'm training is something as simple as riding a bicycle. If you're a 45, 50-year-old adult and you own a bicycle today, you could look at your bicycle, and it's definitely something radically different than it was when you were a child. If you remember being a child, your whole purpose for having a bicycle was to learn how to ride it. Nowadays, if you're 50 years old and you've been riding a bike for 55, 45, 35, 25 years, however long it's been, your purpose of a bike is radically different. It's now for exercise, it's for fun, it's for getting away, it's for, alleviating pressure, it's to create patience in your life, it's to get somewhere. But when you're a kid, that bike, the whole point of the bike is to learn how to ride the bike. And if you think about when you're a kid, there's a lot of stages and different things along the way. And I'm going to use that example throughout what I'm going to share with you guys here today. But the first step to really figuring out how to get your life to where you desire to be is we're going to have to take a look. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to put 3 boxes on a piece of paper. If you don't want to make a box, you can make a circle. You can make them very simply in a horizontal fashion across a piece of paper. And this is a very simple thing that I'm going to ask you guys to do. This is going to be a reality check, and it's a really simple game called It Is. And the reason I play the game It Is because if you look at your bank account and you see it and there's only like $5,000 in there or $500 or $15 or whatever it is, we can play the game that it isn't, but it really is. I mean, this is not one of those positive thinking things where we're going to look at something and say it's better than it is. We're going to take a look today and figure out where we're really at, and also the real steps to get where we want to go and how we can change some really specific things in our life. So I want you to draw either 3 circles or 3 boxes in a horizontal line. Horizontal, I learned this a long time ago, is horizon, so picture the sky, like so it's along the top. Horizontal line across the piece of paper, just 3 boxes, and we're going to start there. So before I get into this, and before I get into little pictures and the diagrams and stuff you're drawing, I want to ask you a question. Do you think there's a difference in your life between your plan that you currently have for your life, the thing that you want, the thing that you plan to do, your goal that you write down January 1st, your goal you write at the beginning of the month? If you're in sales or marketing, you write down, oh, I'm going to hit my quota at the end of the month. I'm going to hit my bonus at the end of the year. Your fitness goal that you get when you start working out, exercising at the gym. Is there a difference between your plan that you physically speak of, that you think in your body, you think in your mind, that exciting thing that comes up, and physically what your body does to go along with it? Well, I want to separate those 2 words today, plan and program. And the reason why I want to separate those is sometimes your plan is different than the program your body already has. Your plan is to be a multimillionaire. Your plan is to have a great body. Your plan is to really get yourself to have a great passionate relationship, and your program is to kind of be a little lethargic. Your program is to overeat. Your program is, to make yourself feel whatever it is the way you feel. We run a program in our lives that a lot of times is radically different than the plan. And some of you can say, my mind wants me to. My heart wants me to. I really have desire in my soul to go do it. But for some reason, something is making me not do it. Well, I'm going to reveal that to you guys here today. If you ever felt like there's a pull, and it's interesting because alcoholics will say, I know I don't want to drink. I know I shouldn't drink, but for some reason I'm driven to drink. Now, you may not be an alcoholic, but I'm telling you, we all do the same thing. You know you want to be on that diet, but for some reason the big hunk of cheese or the big pizza or something that doesn't fit your diet drags you in that direction. And it's like when you don't want to say something to somebody and you say, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, and you find yourself saying it, your plan typically winds up different than the way your life has been programmed up till now. So with those 3 circles and those 3 boxes, whatever it is you have on the page, I want to talk about that one right down in the center. The one that you have right down in the center, I believe, is the most important. And that's really the box of where are you at? Where are you really at right now? What's going on in your life currently? Now, when we do this exercise, I've realized that it's very easy to get distracted. It's very easy to, give yourself this big project to do. Because anytime I work with coaching clients and they come to work with me, one of the first things we do is we decipher areas of their life to work on, because some people just get out of a divorce and they either have gained a bunch of weight and relationships are a little messed up. They're having challenge maybe with their children. Their finances got a little messy. They ran up some credit card debt, legal fees, and they're like, Michael, can you fix everything? And the answer is yes, in time. We can fix things in time, but if we're going to move on things, we kind of got to chunk them into little pieces so we can work on them. We got to break it down so it becomes possible. So if you're going to learn something, if you're going to take an exercise, if you're going to take what it is and you're going to get a bunch out of what I share with you today, one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is to apply what I'm sharing with you to an area of your life. So I'll give you a series of areas, and you can pick one of them, and just make that the area you're picking for the rest of the day. Now, it could be relationships. If relationships is something that you want to work on, whether intimate, business, or personal, that may be an area that needs to get shifted in your life. For many people, it's financial. I have a ton of clients in the business and sales world and career world, and they really want to change either their finances or make their business grow, or both. So this can be either related to relationships, it can be related to finances, or it also can be related to something about health. So I'm going to ask you to pick one of those. Although I'd love to fix and shift every single thing in your life here today, I'll tell you that the only way to start shifting anything is to build one at a time. Nobody I've ever met has been good at doing 3, 4, 5, 10 things all at once. You can be anything you want in this world, but the challenge is you can't be all things to all people at all times. So it's like learning how to ride a bike, back to that example. If you go to learn how to ride a bike and you're a little kid, but you want to juggle and ride a bike at the same time, you may one day be able to be a kid that can juggle 3 balls and ride a bike at the same time, and maybe you can be in the circus. The first thing we need to learn how to do is ride the bike. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Write on the page one of these 3 things: health, relationships, or finances. You can even do it the money sign if you want. And I want you to pick one of those. I know it's tough sometimes to pick which one it's going to be, but I want you to pick one of those that I truly believe you know already in your heart is the most important, the first one to work on. Now, if you want to listen to a replay of this again and you want to do the next one, start off with finances today, do relationships later, totally cool. You pick one, you pick the best for you. So let's start with that center box. Now, here's what that center box represents, where you're really at. Let me give that bike example for a second again. You want to ride that bike. You're a little kid, you look at the bike. And as you look at the bike, you say, I want to ride that thing. You don't know how difficult it is. You don't know how hard it is. You've seen other kids ride bikes. You're 5 years old. You've never been on a bike before. And you're looking at that bike and saying, I want to ride that thing. I want to ride it. Why do I want to ride it? Because I can't ride it. Why do I want to ride it? Because I think I'm supposed to ride it. Why do I want to ride it? Because I need to. Now, what's interesting, the second you get on that bike, that's when you learn about the bike. Because standing on the side of the bike, someone could explain balance to you. They could explain steering to you. They could explain leaning to you. They could explain pedaling to you. But until you actually get on that bike, you're not going to learn anything about it. And the reason why you're going to have a challenge learning anything about it is the brain doesn't learn about specific objects or specific things until it actually gets involved. As soon as you have the interaction with it, that's when things start to change. So that center box is the feeling you have when we look at reality. Now, here's what I mean by reality. Where are you really at today? If you're about to learn how to ride a bike, you jump on it the first time, you realize, wow, I'm not so good at this yet. Now, in that very moment, a few things happen, depending on your personality. You're either going to be motivated to learn, you're going to get frustrated and be bothered, you're going to curl up in a ball, you're going to let somebody help you. There's a myriad of things that happen when you go to do something. But at the end of the day, the most important question is, where are you really at? So if you were to take a look at your business, if you were to take a look at your finances, if you were to take a look at your relationships, if you were to take a look at your health right now, my question is, where are you really at? Now, when you look in the mirror and you look directly in that mirror and you're staring in that mirror and you're looking right at it, what's interesting is you're going to get a completely different picture than somebody else looking at you. But what's the reason? Why is it that you're going to get a different picture than somebody looking at you? Well, the biggest reason why you're going to get a different picture is you only see you. You see you and all your other flaws and excitements and things and metaphors and everything else. But when someone else walks in the room, a friend, they only see what's actually going on right now. What I call this is the consultant's point of view. So here's my question. If you were to take a look at your health right now, you might call yourself chubby. You might call yourself lazy. You might call yourself ripped and sexy. If you look at your finances right now, you might say, I am rockin' doing great. You might say, I am just absolutely, you'd be using these verbs and nouns and ways of describing things, and you'd be all excited about what's going on or frustrated. You look at your relationship and goes, man, this is just bad what's going on. I'm not anywhere where it is I want to be. But my question is, if you brought a consultant in, an outsider, somebody to take a look at what was going on that wasn't related to you, they had no emotional attachment. They had no connection to anything other than, I'm here to just observe what's going on. I'll take down some notes. And as soon as I've accumulated some notes, then I will give you an accurate answer. See, when you take a look at your health or your relationships or your money, most of us are going to give ourselves either a hard time based on how great we'd like it to be, based on what we'd like to achieve, and based on, what we've done up till now. But the consultant doesn't know all that stuff. See, a consultant's going to look at your finances and they're going to say something like this. There's a lot of potential here. They're going to say that there's some areas that need to be worked on. They're going to say there's some flaws in the system. They're going to say things that are a little more accurate about what's going on. When they look at your health, they're not going to say that you're lazy. A consultant isn't going to use the word lazy. A consultant is going to turn around and say, wow, it seems like there's a lack of consistency going on. And it seems like some days this person does well and sometimes this person doesn't. And if we can get this person to do well more often, they'll be more effective. The consultant is also going to notice things that you may not notice about yourself. The consultant is also going to be able to see things from a different perspective. So here's my question for you. What would an outsider, a consultant, somebody you paid, to come into a company, and let's say you paid them $50,000, $100,000 to come look at your company if you were in a position to do so, $1 million, $10 million to come look at Amazon.com. Guy pays $10 million to have a guy look at Amazon.com and says, I need this thing more productive. He wouldn't say this is run like garbage around here, a bunch of people that are lazy and not doing things. That's the emotional involvement of somebody cutting a paycheck. What they say is, it seems like there's some productivity that isn't assigned correctly. It looks like there's some people without expectations. It looks like there's some this. It looks like there's some of that. And they would give you a realistic expectation of where this company is at. Same thing if you meet with a coach. They'd say, wow, Seems to me like you have the ability to get into better shape than you're currently in physically. And if we look at your body right now, it looks like you may have some diet challenges we need to talk about. There may be some allergies that you currently have, and they would give you an actual diagnosis of what's going on. So my question is, in any of those three areas, health, relationship, or money, what would a consultant say is currently going on in your life? What would they say? What would that consultant say to you right now about what's going on in your life or your business? What would the accurate answer? And a lot of us, our tendency is right away to go to the negative. See, they don't know your past. They don't know your dreams and your future. All they know is what is. They look at your desk and it's a mess. They'd say, we have a desk that is very unorganized. They wouldn't call you a slob. They'd say, it looks like we have some unorganization going on around here. It's not like they're being polite. They're being accurate. So I'm going to ask you guys to be accurate right now. And I'm going to challenge you right now, and I'm going to open up the line here in a couple seconds. Remember that *7 feature that we had earlier. Don't go hitting that yet, and I can only call in a few people. So if you do hit it afterwards, it only allows a few people at a time. If you can't get through, there's a first-come, first-served basis with this. So here's what I'm going to ask all of you to do. I want you to think about this right now. Where are you at in one of these areas of your life? If you haven't worked with me before, you have, I'm going to ask you just to really know this answer. This is not a question right now. If you're questioning this, it's not correct. Meaning it's not about a question. It's about accuracy. It's what they see. It's what they notice, what's really, really going on. So I'm going to open up the lines here in a couple seconds. I'm going to ask this question. It's a very simple question. What is it? Where is it at? What's really going on in this person's relationship? And it's not about you anymore. It's called this person. We're disassociating completely from it. What's going on in this person currently, right now in this moment, in their life, in their business? And it's not here to be ultra kind either. Well, it seems like they have a lot of potential. Yet after the word potential, there'll be a few other things going on as well. This is just the first piece of the puzzle. What's really going on? I did this exercise recently, and one of our students said, wow, I feel like I'm a little reactionary. He goes, I would have never thought of that word. That is not a me word. That's what a consultant would say. Someone said to me once, they said, I understand. It looks like I'm running to just get to the next level. I'm focused just on making sales. It looks like this business is built on just making the next sale, and it's not really built on stability. People said, wow. See, a consultant would come in and says, looks like you're just getting by, and it doesn't look like this person is really building long-term stability. It looks like this person is excited, but it doesn't look like this person is doing what it is they need to do. So I'm going to open up these lines right now, and don't hit anything yet because I haven't done it yet. I'm going to ask you to answer this simple question. Pick one of the three areas, and when I say to do so, I'll give you the permission to do this. You're going to hit the numbers, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to ask you one of three questions: health, relationship, or money. Then I'm going to ask you, not for your answer, what would a consultant that you paid $50,000, $100,000 to evaluate your life be saying about one of these three areas? And I'm going to need about 3 or 4 answers, and then we'll go from there. And this is one of the 4 parts of making this work. See, this is a different question than most of us ask. Most of us ask, what's wrong? Most of us ask, how did I get here? Most of us ask, how do I get to where I want to go? What they don't ask is, where am I really at? See, if you're about to ride a bike and you get on that first time and you can't ride, here's what a consultant would say. Well, it looks like we don't have balance. It looks like we have to work on our confidence. It definitely looks like we need to work on pedaling and steering and leaning, and we have a bunch of things that we have to work on, but that's okay. Let's write them down and we'll get to them. So my question is, where are you really at? Where are you really at? This is one of the most important things to figure out right now, because once you get this, this is where the change kicks in. So hit *7. I'll take the first 3 people. Who's up? Tell me your name. *7, hit it. 1, 2, 3. It's *7. I want to talk to some of you guys today.
Hello.
Who do we got? Tell me your name. Who's this?
Shannon.
Dan?
Shannon from New Orleans.
Okay, hold on. I got Dan and Shannon. Who else?
Nick. Kevin from Denver.
Rick.
Okay, hold on. Who's that from Denver?
Kevin.
Okay, that's all I get. Hey, everyone else, hang in the background. Dan, Sharon, Kevin, Ron.
Victoria.
In a minute. Hey guys, I need everyone else just to, if I didn't call your name, hit *6. Okay? If I didn't call your name back, you got to hit *6 to hit *6 to honor the noise on the line. I'm going to start with Dan. Now, Dan, which area of your life are we focusing on here, Dan? Which area is it? Business, health, or relationships?
Business.
Business. Okay, very good. Now, if you were a consultant looking at what's going on business-wise for yourself, What would a consultant say is literally going on in your business? They wouldn't get negative. They wouldn't be emotional. They're not paying the bills. They're not fiscally attached to what's going on. What would a consultant say about this person's business in a very kind, loving, but honest way?
I see you're wanting to make some great changes, but you're not quite organized where you need to be in order to go to the next level.
Okay, so they would say there's a lot of potential, but you're very unorganized. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And these are things you might know intellectually, but it's not really what you work on a regular basis. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay. See, that's the interesting thing. We know this stuff intellectually. It makes sense, but it's not actually what we work on. Was it Sharon I heard too? Sharon, is that you? Sharon? Shannon, forgive me. There were so many people talking at the same time, I renamed you. Shannon, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Are you enjoying this morning? We haven't even got there yet. Are you enjoying this?
I am.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Which area of your life are we focusing on?
Finances.
Finances. Very good. Not emotionally. Not your own personal. What would a consultant say is going on in your financial situation? This is an outsider's perspective. What are the words they'd use that you would never consider using, but you knew, but you don't use? What are they?
There's no long-term strategy for growth.
Okay, good. So it's all about survival. Am I correct? It looks like you're attempting to get by day to day. Am I correct?
Yes.
Which really doesn't make any sense emotionally, intellectually, yet that is what you do. And I'm guessing that this person has been doing this for quite a long time. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Very good. Ron, you out there, Ron?
Kevin?
Kevin, I heard Ron and Kevin. So is Ron out there? And then I'll grab Kevin.
Sorry.
Okay? Very good. Oh, it's okay, Kevin. You're excited. Okay, I'll take Kevin. Kevin, Ron, I'll get you in a second. Okay, Kevin, which area of your life? Relationships, finance, or money?
It's finance also.
Very good. It's like we have a big financial. I should get like Charles Schwab to come on the phone and teach you guys how to not make an interest. Okay, very good. Now let me ask you a question. What would an outsider say? And remember, normally you emotionally get involved and we say, you jerk, you idiot. We get mad at ourselves. I can't believe we did this. We should have invested in that. I can't believe I missed out on Apple. We do this stuff to ourselves. But a consultant doesn't say that. What would a consultant say is really going on in your finances? What's the real challenge?
You spoke to it perfectly. Lack of consistency, unorganized, just getting by right now.
Just getting by. Now what's interesting is just getting by is most of our plan. Most of our plan is just getting by. If I were to open up the lines and how many of you are just getting by, it would be like everybody. What's interesting is that is not a smart business plan. Am I correct? Just getting by?
Correct.
Write this down, everybody. Getting by is not a smart business plan. It's a startup plan. It's not a smart business plan. Now here's what I want to do right now. I know a couple other people spoke up. If it's health related, let me get someone that's not business related. Anybody health wise? Just hit *7 if it's health wise. Anybody? Hit *7 if it's health wise. Very quickly, it's *7. Anybody health-wise? Who's this? What's your name?
Tony.
Who's this?
Hello? Victoria.
Who's the gentleman? Okay, the woman can hold on for 1 second. Who's the gentleman?
Tony. Toronto.
Tony, very good. I'm going to start with Tony. Anyone else that's not Tony, please hit *6. I got to respect the call and the integrity of the sound. Tony, what would an outsider say is going on health-wise?
They'll say that I haven't been eating that well.
Okay, they would say it looks like your health, it looks like the choices that you make are not the best choices. Am I correct?
That's correct.
They'd also say it looks like you're exercising inconsistently. Am I correct?
That's correct.
They wouldn't beat you up or give you a hard time, would they? They'd also say it looks like health isn't that important to you. Did you hear what I just said?
Yes.
See, what's interesting is it's not that important to you. It's something that you don't realize about, that most of us have to realize, that we need to take an honest look. See, a consultant would say, wow, are you telling me that making money is really important to you? It doesn't look like that when it looks at your activity. How many of you are getting this? Think about this, making sense. And let's get one more person, relationship, and then I have to move on. Relationship, just go ahead and hit *7. What would an outsider say? Oh, this is where it gets serious right now.
Victoria?
Who's this? Gloria, very good. And everyone else hit *6. Stay on the line, guys. This is barely getting started. Gloria, everyone else hit *6, please. That's not Gloria. Hit *6 if you're not Gloria. Gloria, very good. Now let me ask you a question, Gloria. What's going on, an outsider's perspective, relationship-wise? Are we talking intimate or are we talking just regular interpersonal relationships?
All of them.
All of them. Okay, so it's all messed up. Very good. So the consultant came in to look at every relationship in your life. What would an outsider's perspective say?
What's going on?
They wouldn't say what's going on at all. They know exactly what's going on because they're a consultant. What would they say what's happening?
How come there are no relationships?
They're going to say, it looks like you avoid people. It looks like you're not willing to share who you are. It looks like the choices that you make in relationships may not be the best for you. Am I correct?
Yes.
They're going to say things that are accurate. And the reason they're going to say things that are accurate is most of us are not willing to see what's accurate because what we want and what we do are radically different. And the reason what we want and what we do become radically different in our lives, and I'm going to go ahead and put this back in a mode where you guys only hear me, the reason what we do and what we want typically becomes so radically different in our lives. The reason it's so different is because they're two different games. There's the thing we want, and then there's what we do. So here's the question. Every one of you are somewhere right now. If you met with the consultant of Earth, and they said to you, here is where you're really at. Let me give you the printout, like your credit score. Here is where you are really at in your life today. There's no denying it. It is what it is. There's no changing it. There's no submitting a form and saying, but you didn't get this. It doesn't matter. Where you're at is where you're at, and where you're at is where you're at, and there's no way to change that because guess what? That's where you're at. But the real question is, how did we get here? How did we get in a position that we don't want to be in? How did you get to that? I mean, you're a loving person. You're a nice person. You start rationalizing with yourself. Why am I in relationships that don't work? Tony, you're smart. You got diet ideas. You know what you should be doing. You're not doing it. What's going on? We know it, Kevin. We understand finances. You're smarter than this. Dan, you're smarter than this. Sharon, you're smarter than this. What's going on business-wise? You know better. You got the push. You got the ability. What's happening? Why is it that you're not getting what it is you want? Why is it your life isn't working? Well, all of it comes down to a very interesting thing. It comes down to that box or that circle all the way to the left. See, what most of us don't realize is how the brain works. We don't realize that in emotional moments, when we go for things we want in our lives, and this is very interesting and could be a very deep conversation, a very exciting conversation, a very eye-opening conversation, yet it's also going to reveal a very powerful truth to you about the reality of your life and what's been going on up till now. See, every one of us has emotional experiences in our lives. There are times where we get excited about something, and then there's a time where reality kicks in. And what I mean by times we get excited and times where reality kicks in is we've all got excited about things we wanted to do. Like, for instance, I use business as an example. When you first start a business, we're excited about all the things. We're excited about getting our business cards. We're excited about our desk. We're excited about the big loan we took out. We're excited about leasing the property. We're excited about how many clients we're going to have. We're going to do a website, how we're going to change the world. And everything's great for about 7 to 10 days. Now, I want you to think back, if this is business related, to when it was important to you to really, really make your business work. See, for the first couple of weeks, or you're not worried, you walked away from your job, or you're just getting out of college, or you had a little finances in the bank, it didn't really matter whether it worked out or not. But what's interesting is everybody gets to a point, business-wise, personal-wise, where it gets to the point where it goes from the excitement stage to the next emotion that shows up. For instance, a kid is all excited about riding a bike, they get on the bike, they fall. Now, in that moment, the child starts defining a few things. Riding a bike is difficult. I don't understand it. But with a good consultant, a good parent, someone that is going to say to you, wow, it's not that you're not good at riding a bike. We got to work on your balance. Wow, we're going to have to do this a few more times. And that positioning in the brain is everything. See, all the way to the left is a little thing called your stance. Now let's talk about that word stance for a second. Your stance is your position. A stance is what you feel. A stance is what you've decided something is. Now, what's interesting is when I first got into business, I'll share my own personal story here. When I first got into business, one of the things I would do is I was very excited. And finally, when the credit wore off, when I was first getting started in business and financially I wasn't where I wanted to be, I got to the point where I had to make it work. So it went from excitement to had to make it work. And had to make it work is, where is the next sale going to come from? Where am I going to get the next dollars from? In my entire life, because I was just excited beforehand, started to becoming something that got defined by how do I get to the next step, which is a code word for struggle. How do I get by? Where do I come up with the next sale? How can I survive? In my entire first 6 months in business to year in business were based on survival. How do I survive? And what's interesting is I really wanted to be wealthy. But then I asked the question of how do I survive? Now, why was I asking the question, how do I survive? Because survival is really what I was working on at that point. See, when I first started learning about health, why did I exercise at first? I'll tell you why I exercised at first. I exercised at first because I wanted it. And the reason I wanted it when I was a kid, I was part of a sports team and I wanted to be part of a team. I exercised because I wanted to look good, right? I wanted to look good in my life. And the reason I want to look good is, if you want to look good, you're going to attract the right person. I also wanted to be strong to prove a point. And then my mid-30s, I turn around and go, I'm not part of a team, so I don't really need to exercise for that. I'm married, I'm happy, I don't need to attract anyone. And I look at strength, I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I'm 6'6", 240 now. I don't care what you think. So what's interesting is, why is it a challenge to exercise? Well, the challenge became because my original reason of what exercise was and why I did it was still my reason today. See, for a lot of you, you took a position a long time ago. And the position you took a long time ago of why you exercise, why relationships are important to you. I remember my first relationships were, how do I get people to like me? And I find myself still have this little in-brain thing inside of my brain every once in a while that pops out. How do I get them to like me? It's not about how do I build a connection. It's not about business. How do I get more people to attract it to my business, and how do we become more profitable? It's about survival. See, most of you, your whole goal is, how do I sit up on the bike? How do I make it so the bike doesn't fall? See, most kids, their goal when they get on the bike is, how do I make it not fall? They want to ride it, but really they make it, how do I not fall? And they live their life of, how do I not fall? How do I not mess this up? How do I not have this thing fall apart? How do I have it not go away? Most of us, we build our relationships on maintenance. How do I make them not leave? How do I make it just survive? Instead of getting what you really want. See, what's interesting is in that first 7 to 10 days when you got excited about business, you wanted to take over the world. You wanted to change the way the world was. You were going to be a billionaire or millionaire. You were going to be written about in books. And somewhere about 7 to 10 days kick in. And it's not that that goes away. It just takes a back seat to survival. When you first find somebody you love and you care about in a relationship, you're all excited. What is the possibilities in this relationship? And then eventually this hits that hits this, and it starts to becoming about what? Average, survival. Health-wise, you get excited about your workouts. We do this regularly, 7, 10 days, all pumped up, excited about your workout. And then eventually it's, how do I get myself back to doing it again? And whatever your stance is right now, your stance is, how do I get myself in better shape? Your stance is, it's hard for me to do it. And what's interesting is, we have to realize that we need to change this over time. See, just because that's what it was back then, doesn't mean it is now. I know if I open up the lines right now and ask the question, you'll tell me that your first interaction with business was excitement. You were drunken and excited in that excitement, emotional stupor. Then when that feeling wore off, it was about getting to work. It was about doing what you needed to do. It was about survival. And that survival is what drove you. And because it worked in the past, you never got rid of it. We didn't grow up past it. It's like we didn't take the training wheels off to learn how to ride better. You still think it's about not falling. Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall when you're driving your bike down the hill, instead of it being about balance and everything else. So my question for you is, what's your original stance that you took in your business? What was the original stance of why you got into relationships in the first place, but not your original reason? Right after the excitement wore off, right after that period, you made a declaration, you took a stance, you made a decision, you had an opinion. And that is so emotional, that moment, that it becomes a piece of you. And most of you, that moment is, how do I make this work? And how do I survive? And when you said, how do I make this work? And how do I make this survive? And 35 years later, you're still struggling financially. You have to realize, because your stance is your program. Your plan is to change things. You really want things to be different. You really desire them to be different. But they can't be different because your programming is set. You can't change the programming. You can't unless you're willing to. If I go type on my old computer, my old PC, I don't have this issue with Mac, but my old PC, I retyped my name incorrectly once. And autocorrect spell came up and I misspelled my name. And I said, yes, that's how you spell it. It was, instead of Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, it was M-I-C-A-H-E-L, and it was messed up. And I hit yes, autocorrect. So every time I would type in Michael, it would respell it the wrong way because it was programmed to do something that I told it to. You have to realize that it was a good idea for you to survive those weeks ago, years ago. It was a good idea for when you first got into that relationship to, get them to like you. But if it's still about how do I get them to like me 35 years into a marriage, You never get to share who you really are. You never get to be yourself. You got to look at what was your stance when you first got started. And it's a tough question to ask. It's a difficult situation. I'm going to open up the lines here in a second. I'm going to talk to you guys about this for about 2 minutes, and then I'm going to give you the most important piece of the puzzle of how do we change this? Because a lot of you realize that if you are running a program right now of struggle, get by, procrastination, why do we procrastinate from time to time? Why do we do it? Well, the answer comes down as our position on it. Why are you overweight? Well, here's the deal. If diets were hard when you first got started with diets, they're still hard today. So why would you want to change that? You've been running diets a hard program your whole life. Why would you think your new diet's going to work out? Well, it can't. We're going to have the ability to change the program. We're going to have the ability to change this program to get it to be the way you want it to be. And what I share with you is going to make a ton of sense. It's nothing no different than a consultant that came in would share with you. And it's not just going to make sense. It's something that every one of you can start doing right away. And the last question I have for you will be the most important question of all. And when I ask you that here today, within 15 to 20 minutes, you'll have the opportunity to really figure out what your next steps are in your life. So let's talk about this right now. Let's talk about what happened. Here's what happened. You were excited to get on a bike. You got on a bike. Then immediately after you got on that bike, you decided what it was. You decided things that I'm not good at yet, and they take a while to learn. Some of you could have said, I don't know how to do this yet. And whatever reason you created at the beginning, it's something that worked for you, and you kept it. You know why we keep things that work? Because they work, and that's why we keep them. It just seems to make sense. It's no different. If you got a screwdriver in your pocket, and for some reason that screwdriver every day you can use to open up your door, and you can't find your key to the door, every day you can unscrew your door and take the doorknob off every day and open up the door from the inside because you can't find your key. Hey, that works. It's not the best option, but it works. And why does it work? Because one day it did work. So why do you keep on doing it? Because it always did work, and why would we change something that's currently working? So here's my question for you right now. Let's backtrack, and I want to backtrack right now. You started off with the question, what would a consultant say of where you're currently at? What would the consultant say of where you're really at today in one of those 3 areas of your life? The next question is, how did you get here? We backtrack to originally when you first learned about this thing. I don't mean when your mommy or daddy were telling you about it. Your first interaction with the relationships. Your first interaction with health. Your first interaction with business. And then somewhere within that first couple of months, you decided a couple things. And those things that you decided are called your life today. And you're living those decisions, those beliefs, those ideas, those attitudes from years ago. And you're making that your program. So most of us, all we needed to do was survive those years ago. All we needed to do is get people to like me all those years ago. All we needed to do with health those years ago was to do this X thing, Y thing, whatever it was. But my question right now, it's a very, very important question is, what was that thing you decided? This is not to beat yourself up. This is an honest answer. See, for me, relationships for me back in the day was how do I get people to like me? So what will happen is it still slips in here and there. It's a deep-rooted program. I've gotten past it, but I've realized it was there for years, and I couldn't figure out why couldn't I get relationships to work because it was all about me. I couldn't figure it out years ago. I said to myself, why couldn't I get business to work? Because my whole plan for business is how do I make money so I can pay my bills so I can struggle and get by some more? What's wrong health-wise? Well, here's my deal with health. These are my 3 reasons why I did it. Think about what relationships were you when you got started. Maybe they were fun. Maybe they're supposed to be fun and they're enjoyable and they're supposed to be nonchalant. Now you're in a relationship today that's serious because you got 3 kids and you can't figure out why it can't be fun and you're screwing it up and you're making a mistake or whatever it is. And here's why. Your positioning of the stance you took years ago has shifted. So here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to take some different people. I want you to hit *7. I'll take 3 names, and you guys are doing such a good job on this. I want to take 3 people and tell me your names very quickly. Hit *7 and tell me your name very quickly. I would
Dolly.
Paula.
Okay. Was that Dolly?
Ryan.
Dolly.
Okay, hold on. I got Dolly. I love all of you.
Paula.
I just want you to be okay. I got Donna. I got Dolly.
Yeah.
And who is that? And who is the other woman I said your name a second ago?
Paula.
Yeah. Okay. Lola.
Paula.
Say it again.
Paula.
Very good. Wow. Those are my people. Donna. Okay, Donna, Dolly, and Paola, and everyone else at *6. I'll grab the rest of you in a few seconds. Hang on the line. Donna, let me ask you a question. Which area of your life are we working on? Quickly, Donna. 1, 2, 3. Is it relationships, health, money? Donna, you out there? You got to hit *7, Donna, if you're talking to me. Donna, going once, going twice, going 3 times. Dolly, are you out there?
Yes.
Dolly, which area of your life, Dolly?
Yes. Can you hear?
Which one?
Yes. Can you hear me? Dolly.
Yes. Relationships, health, money.
Money.
Very good. Where is this person at? Where are they at currently today? What is it right now? What would the consultant say very quickly? Center circle.
This person is in really good shape and for some reason not applying the tools and skills she has.
Okay, so the consultant wouldn't say they're in very good shape. The consultant would say this person has a lot of potential, but it looks like this person is having a follow-through challenge. Am I correct?
Yes.
The consultant wouldn't be hitting on you. That's called hitting on you. Do you understand?
Yes. Yes.
Okay? You were being kind and nice and sweet. The consultant would say lots of potential, lack of follow-through. So I want you to go back to originally when you got started with business. Do you remember when that was?
When I got focused on money. Yes.
Okay, very good.
Absolutely.
Your original reaction to money. Okay? You got excited about it at first. Am I correct?
I was excited but conflicted because I had applied to law school and that was my way to go, but I didn't know whether I wanted to.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So you figured if I go to law school and I learn, correct, I will make money. Am I correct?
Yes.
So now making money is about learning. Making money is not about doing. And your whole life is I need to learn things, and that's why you spend all day learning things and not time doing things. Do you hear me?
That is it. Absolutely.
You've never thought of it exactly that way, but it's true. Am I correct?
You are correct.
So when you went to law school, here was what your brain said. If I go to law school and I learn, I will make money. Then it became, I'm not learning, so I'm not making money, so why don't I go learn and I'll make money? And it doesn't have to make any sense. So you're so busy wanting to learn that you're not busy earning. Am I correct?
Correct.
And you never saw it this way. Do you realize you created that for yourself? Are you getting this?
Absolutely.
So now your plan is to learn. And the reason you created this for yourself, and I realized how we come up with this, is that's what we do. You take the moment you created it, the moment you got into a relationship the first time, what was it about? The moment you started looking at health, what was it about? I got to go very quickly through this. Paola, are you out there? Paola?
Yes, hi.
Paola, great, very quickly. Which area of your life? Relationships, health, money?
Finances.
Very good. What would the original consultant say about finances? Very honest approach. What would they say?
There's nothing happening. Why?
They wouldn't say there's nothing happening. Why? They would say, it looks like there's no activity. Am I correct?
No activity, yeah. No activity.
Very good. So if you go back to originally you making money, what is your first interaction with money? What was money? So you first started making money. You were excited about making it. Then what happened?
Nothing happened. It never began. Actually,
okay, so basically you at the beginning have always been looking to just get by. Am I correct?
Yes, and I waited for others.
How old were you when you learned time to get by? How old were you? Just struggle and get by. How old were you?
8.
You're 8 years old.
Always.
You're not 8 anymore, are you?
No.
So at your age right now, do you realize you're still running the same program you've been running to 8 and you haven't updated it? It's all about survival. And what is your life right now? You're living it. You're living survival. Ron, are you out there, Ron? Hit star 7, Ron, if you are. Ron? Going once, going twice. Ron, 3 times. I know we spoke up a minute ago. Ron?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Ron,
okay.
Ron, very good. Which area of your life are you working on, Ron?
Yeah, man.
Which area of your life, Ron? No, I need beyond. Yeah, Ron. Are you going to speak to me? Are you there, Ron? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, which area of your life are you working on, Ron?
Also about the money,
Okay, very good. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, Ron. What was the original position about money, Ron?
That I couldn't attract it.
You never said I couldn't attract it. You've always said to yourself, I just have to make enough to get by. Am I correct, Ron?
Yeah, I just...
So your whole life has been about getting by, and what are you doing today? You're barely getting by. Am I correct?
Yeah, just pay the minimum on the debt.
Exactly. And why are you doing that? Why is that your plan? Because that's your plan because it's always been your plan. See, this is the part we have to realize, guys. If you look at, and I got everyone muted again, if you look at all the way to the left and you look to the center, you realize that you are living a current plan, a version. You're living out what you planned years ago. You planned years ago, if you look at this right now, to be where you're at. You did. You said, struggling works, I will struggle. Getting by works, I'll do that for now. And you just forgot to change the plan. It's like you're playing Pop Warner, and you're playing Pop Warner football at 45 years old. You're wondering, why you're not getting any better at it. You're playing with little kids. See, what's interesting is when a little kid gets on a bike, his whole goal is to learn how to ride a bike. That's it. He doesn't know about going to the store. He doesn't know about the candy store. He doesn't know about being 45 years old and exercising one day. The little kid wants to get on the bike to learn how to ride a bike. So when you were younger, you were immature. You didn't know any better. Maybe it was 10 years ago. Maybe it was 2 years ago. Maybe it was 5 years ago. You wrote down, and it's so interesting. You wrote this down on a piece of paper. You said, or in your brain, you said, here's what I want. This is what I want. This is really what I want in my life. I really, really want to hit this, learning how to ride a bike. And that was your whole plan. So what did you make riding a bike about? If I could just balance, watch this, guys. If I could just balance, if I could just steer, if I could just pedal, then I'll be okay. See, the difference between a little kid and our plans in our life is a little kid then took the plan and pushed it out a little bit. They said, I got it. But can I now ride to my friend's house? Then eventually, after they learn how to ride to their friend's house, can I now go to the candy store? And eventually you're 55 years old and you say, I don't need the candy store anymore. It's about exercise now. But if you remember your first reason for riding a bike when you were a kid was fun and to go to the candy store, and you're an adult now and you have no time to go to the candy store and you have no time to have fun, riding a bike doesn't show up in your life anymore. So let's talk about this real quick. Here's my question. Your whole goal in your life currently is to achieve what's on the left-hand side. If I can just survive. If I could just get them to like me. If I could just be stronger. If I could just work out one day. If I could just get started. Most of you, your whole workout plan is this, and be honest. If I could just get started doing it again. Guys, you didn't talk about being consistent. You just wanted to get started. And it's all about just getting started. And that's all people want to do. So you're doing it. You're starting, stopping. You're inconsistent. Why are you inconsistent? Why would someone call your health inconsistent? Because your whole plan is just about getting started. You're living out on the left-hand side. It's going to the center. So how do we change this? We did the same thing you did when you were a kid with a bike. It's really kind of fun. And I'm being very direct and fun with this because I help people with this stuff all the time because your plan needs to get updated. See, if you're a little kid and all you want to do is learn how to ride a bike, and that's all you want to do, congratulations. That's all you wanted to do. But eventually you want to go to your friend's house, is expanding past where you're at. Eventually you want to go from your friend's house to the candy store, expanding where it is that you're at. And in these next 10 minutes, I'm going to put the whole thing together. So stay on the line, listen clearly. We're going to get this whole thing knocked out for you guys. You're going to have a freaking great plan to putting yourself to where it is you want to go. So pay very close attention. Imagine, just play an imagine game. We change that box on the left-hand side. It's a challenge to change because it's going to take some work. One of the things that I teach is called human interaction technology. And if you have any idea what that is, it's a study of psychology, what makes people do what they do. And it's all about interactions humans have. It's interactions with ourselves, interactions with other people, interactions with things that show up in our life. And this is something that shows up in our lives. And if we look at the interaction, what's currently going on in our lives, that thing, that interaction that shows up from time to time, that we know we want to change something, but we don't know how to get ourselves to literally do it. Here's my question for you. What would your life be like if you could stand in the possibility? And here's the possibility. If you could stand in the possibility right now that what it is that you wanted, you were already achieving. That what it is you wanted, you were actually having. What it is you wanted, you were actually doing. For instance, what if you didn't have to worry about getting people to like you anymore? What if you already figured that out? What if business-wise it wasn't about survival, you had enough customers coming in, you had enough income in the bank to last for 90 days? What if health-wise you've already been exercising 90 days? What if 90 days have gone by and you accomplished everything to the left? What if you were being consistent exercise-wise, your relationships were stable and doing better, and you were really communicating well, and fiscally, financially, business-wise, you had enough leads coming in, and you were doing better? My question for you then is, what would you then focus on? What if you were standing on top of the achievements that you had for the last 90 days? You were literally standing on top of them, and you already bypassed your minor challenge. You already were making relationships work better. I'm going to repeat myself again. You already were consistent in your health. You already were consistent in your relationships and your finances, and everything was going well. Here's my question. What would your next step be? It's kind of like you learned how to ride the bike. You're on it now. What's your friend's house? What's the candy store? What's eventually exercising later on in your life? Well, for most of us business-wise, what if you were to change your position right now? change your stance and ask yourself a different question. Instead of figuring out how to survive, what if I was here to be profitable? What if you were to literally change that word in your brain and go, my plan up till now has been survival. I got to grow up past that. What if I can take all the way to the right and make a new goal that's farther out than the one I have? I'm going to challenge you to think about this right now. I'm going to challenge you to look at yourself right now. I'm going to challenge you to really ask yourself an honest question. If you're kicking a field goal and you kick the field goal and you only kick it up to where the field goal is, you don't get the field goal. You got to go past it. Most people stop 5 seconds before the miracle. What if you were to put something farther than what you're currently working on? I don't mean like a bigger money goal. I don't mean a bigger dollar amount. I don't mean a harder workout. I mean, what if exercise to you was about being energized instead of being just getting started? What if it was about something that brought you health instead of just getting started? What if the relationships were about intimacy and passion and growth potential and really learning who you were instead of how do I get them to like me? What if business instead of struggle and survival was about profitability and consistency and about lifestyle? See, most of us are working off the left-hand side of the sheet and we're not working on the right-hand side of the sheet. The real question is, what do you really need to work on? What would you be doing if you already were doing what it is you needed to do? What would you be focused on today if you were already doing what it is you needed to be doing? If your relationships were already working well, what would you be doing? If your health was already consistent for 90 days, you'd be working on more strength, more consistency. You'd be working on a totally different question, a totally different answer, a totally different way of looking at life than you're doing now. If your relationship was already stable, you wouldn't worry about how do I get them to like me. You'd worry about how do I get more intimate and passion in this relationship. So whatever you write in the right, what if your business and your finances were about profit? What if they were about future? What if they weren't about getting by anymore? And somebody's like, well, how do you do that? Well, here's the first way to do it. You got to stand up in the possibility right now that you can achieve that stuff in the next 90 days, 180 days. You got to stand up and ask yourself a question. What would I go for in my life if I already were achieving the thing that I wanted years ago? Now, when you get that answer for yourself, whatever that answer is that you come up with, it leads me to one of my last questions here in a second. That's what you really want. See, you really want to go to the candy store. You just don't know where it is yet. You really want to take your bike to your friend's house. You didn't know that yet. But once you learn how to ride the bike, you can realize you can take it to your friend's house. Once you learn how to get to your friend's house, you can go to your friend and they'll say, hey, do you want to go to the candy store? And the answer is yes. But if all you're doing is get on the bike, learn how to ride it, get on the bike, learn how to ride it, get on the bike, learn how to ride it, we got to grow up. And we got to realize the thing on the right we want. So your life should be about right now. The question you should ask yourself is, if you ask the consultant, what should I be working on? The consultant would say, it's time to become profitable. The consultant would say, it's time to get consistent. The consultant would say it's time to start finding passion and love in your relationships instead of just living the way you're currently living. Because it's what's on the right-hand side is what we really want. See, it's the right that's right, and that's what you want. But you're living out the left. And the reason why is we don't understand the major equation of why in life. And the reason why we have a challenge with this equation and why and everything in life is we're looking at everything from the wrong side. It's like we're reading the menu upside down instead of realizing everything you want moves from left to right. And if you look at it from left to right, here's where I was, here's where I am, here's where I want to go. But you have to imagine that you've already achieved what you kind of wanted up till now, so you can think farther in the future. Because what successful people have learned how to do is to think past solving. Because we always fall a little short of what it is we want. The reason why, I'm not sure why. Psychologically, we do. But the reason why most of us do that is we don't understand the simple why. So I had you put 3 circles on a piece of paper. And on the bottom of the piece of paper, I want you to put a Y. Go ahead right now, make a Y. Go ahead and do it. Make a big Y. A big one, not a little one. Make a Y. Put a circle around it, and you pretty much have a peace symbol almost. And what's interesting is you put a circle around a Y. What happens there is you have 3 sections. And I've realized that most people can break the important things in their life into 3 very simple sections. One is their health and their relationships. You can put it in one category. Your health and relationships. I want you to take one of those things, like put that in the top of it. I call it the martini glass, the Y. Put that in the top. Health and relationships, the top of the Y, inside the center of the Y. Put health and relationships. All the way to the right, I want you to put, finances, money, business, stuff like that. Finances, money, business. All the way to the right, finances, money, business. On top, relationships and health. And to the left, there's some skills you have, some things you are, stuff you're good at, stuff you know, whether you're a carpenter, you know, you're good at making phone calls, you're good with people, you're persuasive, you know how to read well, all your skills and traits and things you have. So we got three areas, your skills and traits, your relationships, and your health, and your finances and your business and your job. If I walked up to you and I said, you got to give me one of these. You got to give me one, man. I just got to give me one. I need one of them. Is it your health and your relationships? Is it your money? Is it your skills? You're going to give one up. See, for me, I'd give up the money. I'd give the money in the business immediately because I have the skills, I'll get it back. So I give up the money. Then I come back to you again. I said, you got to give me up one more. You got to give me up one more. I look at the skills, I look at my health and my relationships, and I give up my skills. And I'm left with what I wanted in the first place with my health and my relationships and to live my life the way I want. And really, my real question is, where do you spend the majority of your time? See, most of us spend the majority of our time looking to figure out a skill, looking to accomplish what's to the left. You spend the majority of your time working on your business, the majority of your time working on your making more money. And the thing you wanted more than anything was your health and your relationships, the top of that martini glass, the celebration, the real peace in your life, the thing you wanted. But we're spending the majority of our lives working on something that we would give up first. So my question is, does that make sense? And the answer is no. The other question is, how long do we keep on living a way we don't want to live? And the answer is, are we going to give up what's to the left? Are we going to give up our old programming? Are we going to give up what we created years ago that kind of works? It doesn't give us the life we want. That's the question that most of us have to figure out. See, it's time for most of us to grow up. And it's time to look at the left and say, what do I want, the left or the right? You guys know it, left or the right. Do you want the old programming or do you want the new plan? Is it about survival or is it about profit? Is it about getting yourself to get to the gym and just get started? Or is it about having an energized, healthy body so you can live a long time and have a bike when you're an adult and ride for fun and enjoyment and stability and energy? It's not about riding to the candy store anymore. Sure, you can take your kids to the candy store, it's fun. But if your whole life is how do I get to the candy store, you don't get what you want. See, I know at the end of the day, the real thing all of us want is our health. We want our relationships. We want to be happy. But we spend our whole life working on two other things that wind up not bringing us what it is we wanted in the first place. It's a real exercise. And every time I go over this exercise with people, we get answers. And people say, so what? So here's my question for you. Do you know how to be, I guess, a disassociated person with yourself? Dolly's a very sharp person. She spoke earlier. No, she is. And she's a sharp person. She spoke here on the line. Dan's a sharp person. But our biggest challenge we have in our lives is we don't have the ability to see ourselves for where we're at. You know, one of the things I remember one of my original mentors, Virginia Satir, would say, and she's a genius at therapy, would say, a stranger sitting behind you at a movie theater has a better understanding of the back of your hairline and your back than you even understand about yourself. And the biggest reason they understand you better than you understand you is they can see what you can't see. They have the ability to consult you until you can learn how to consult yourself. So for years, one of the things I've realized with people, and I've shared with them, is that you're going to have to learn how to see things from a different perspective. You're going to have to learn how to see your life differently than the way it is. And if you can't do that, and you can't see what is, and you're not willing to notice what is, and you're not willing to get out of the emotion of what's going on, then it's very challenging to change. See, when you run this exercise, you ask yourself 4 questions. What is really going on? How did I really get here? Like literally, like this makes no sense. This is not what I want. What do I really want? And the only reason you could see what you really want is you have to imagine you already achieved it. And the last question is, what do you really want? Because what's amazing is when you look down at the bottom and the martini glass and the peace, you're going to realize it's even more radically different than what you even saw above. So what I want for you guys is to ask yourself a question. Do you know how to consult yourself yet? Do you know how to come up with the answers you need yet in your life? Do you know how to get what it is you want? And you're going to say, oh, yeah, I know. But you don't. You kind of do, and you think you do, and you look all the way to the left, and you know what you see all the way to the left? You'll see it. That's your plan. That's what you've been doing up till now, and that'll continue being your plan until you're willing to change it, until you're willing to do something about it. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to think about it. Do you want some help getting where you want to go? That consultant that I talk about coming in and telling you what it is, the people I worked with here today, that's what we do. That's what I've been doing for a decade plus. I've been sharing with people how to see things as it is, Figure out your program that you currently have in your life, that program that you have, identifying it, figuring it out, knowing what it is very, very quickly, and then reevaluating it to get you on track to do what you really want to do. And start getting you to do that thing in that martini glass in the bottom, the why that you really want for your life. If you want these things to change and you really want to change, it's going to require some help. The challenge is people that lack confidence or that are very determined to do things typically don't ask people to help them. And the reason why they don't ask people to help them is they think they could do it themselves, and you can do it yourself, but what you'll be doing it with is right alongside what you wrote to the left up there, that first far left. So if you want things to be different and you want things to change, and when you look in the mirror, it's not just looking at you. You got someone to the right of you saying, do you see that? Did you notice that? I bet you never noticed that because you've been so busy looking at that. Did you want to see that? That's where we come in. So I put together a product, a program, an ability for you and I to work directly together, kind of like I worked with these folks here on the phone earlier. It's an opportunity for you and I to get together in the next few weeks or month in a very small group setting. I've been doing this for a decade plus. It's a little thing, and it's not even little at all. It's huge in your life, called Call to Action. The majority of people on the phone here, they've heard of it. You've been through it before. You've thought of it. It's a chance for you and I to work together for 5 days, figuring out how to get you to take more action, get more done, really set goals to actually get them, put your life where you want it to be, understanding what makes you do what you do, how to get out of your comfort zone, start living the way you really want to live. If you're open to that and you say, you know what, I really am going to let you help me, I really want to create change, I get a very simple guarantee. I'll get you to get more done in 5 days than you have in 5 months. We're going to totally reevaluate, change that programming that you have all the way to the left, and start you on a new course. Start you on a complete plan. I said it the other day to a group of people. You start off the course on a course, and you take it a course, and then your course changes. And the reason your course changes, very, very simply, is because we just adjust a few very simple things that wind up being different in your life. So working with me is very simple. It's 5 days. It's over the phone. You don't have to fly in anywhere. It's a small group setting, 50 people or so. It's intimate. It's very interactive. You're going to love it. It's a ton of fun. And we've worked with tens of thousands of people, 35 different countries. And normally my coaching, I'm out of almost anybody's price range of tens of thousands of dollars to work with one-on-one. Small group setting, and you got a chance to work with me. It's normally $5.99 to work with me for 5 days. There's either a morning or a night session. We give you an accountability partner to work with. It is so much fun. So they're going to call you somebody next week. As soon as you register, they're going to call you next week. They're going to find out what you want to get out of the course. They're going to relay that to me. I'm your coach. I work with you. I help you get it. Any of these areas. I work on health. I work on relationships. We work on money. We get the whole thing to work for people that really want to create change in their life. So normally the program is $599. But yet I'm feeling generous, and I'm feeling this idea that if I can get a bunch of you to want to change your lives, my Facebook wall blows up even more with people doing great. 5 days of working with me, kicking your butt, holding your hand, guarantee you'll get more done in 5 days than you have in 5 months. First come, first served basis. You get an accountability partner to work with, a $250 value. I'm also going to throw in the ability to, get 2 confidence audios to build your confidence and your strength. You'd have to listen to one in the morning, one at night. It's an $80 value. I'm going to throw that in for free. And I'm also on that page, get a knockoff $200. So instead of it being about $600 to work with me, it's $399. If it's a financial concern, you can break it in 2. I'm not too concerned about it. The discount is good now. It's good today. You can also break it in 2 payments. We take PayPal, credit card. But the real question is, do you want things to change? Would you like to get a call from my office here within a few days, and they call you on the phone and go, you ready? You ready to make some changes? You ready to work with Michael? You ready to do this? You want to get that part of that, that why that you really wanted all along? Let's make it happen. If you got a dream, you got a business, you got a goal financially, health-wise, let's make a change together. Let's work on it. Check my Facebook wall. It's littered with people. It's not even littered. It's awesome with people that have said, thank you for call to action. Thank you for changing my life. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. That's what I want for you guys. I want that change. I want that shift. I want to show you what's possible. Invest in yourself. We got to change what's on the left there. If you want things to be on the right and you want things to be right, you got to do things different. You got 12 months to take it. I run them every 3 to 4 weeks. Within 3 to 4 weeks from now, you're going to look back and go, wow, that decision that I made was one of the best decisions I've ever made. How simple that was. $400 to be more confident. $400 to feel better about myself. $400 to get out of the rut that I'm in and stop struggling and get where I want to go. Find a way to love yourself. Find a way to give yourself a gift. And I encourage you to give yourself that gift right now of growth. And the reason why is when you get that skills down, the money shows up. And when the money shows up and the skills show up, you got more time to spend with the people you love and on the things that matter most to you in your life. I appreciate all of you. I thank you so much. I'm going to open up the lines right now. Do the exercise I did again. I'll post this up on my blog. Go listen to this again. Hear it. Challenge you to do it.
People hear about the results that I've achieved for clients all over the world. The biggest question that I get when people want to know, like, how did you get your student to do what? You got them to do this? They're achieving that these days? The biggest question I get from people is like, oh, Michael, how do I get started? What do I do? And in that moment, that is the first thing I do is I say, stop right there, because I believe you're asking the wrong question. I mean, our brains, whether you realize it or not, are designed to look for plans. We're to look at things and go, how do I pull this off? What do I do? And the sad part is marketing companies in New York City and San Francisco and all over the world have taken advantage of that fact for years. That's why any TV show late at night you click on, it's like, how do you build 7 figures? Or how do you get 6-pack abs? Or how do you do this? And typically what they're selling people at that moment is a plan. And it's amazing how often, and I'm going to write this word up here for a minute, our brains look for plans, we look for solutions, we look for strategies, the 3 ways to get better, and the 5 ways to do this. And I'm going to tell you that couldn't be farther from the truth of anything anybody really does when they become successful. Now, after working with tens of thousands of people just in the last couple of years all over the world and seeing what successful people have done and really looking at the story from start to finish, because I believe most people, the plan is like, how did it get done afterwards? And looking at that and what really created the success, it started somewhere different. And that's the part I want to start talking to you about today and really get your brain thinking in a different direction, because when it comes to achieving anything, I believe plans, you have millions of them. If I come to your house right now and I take a peek around, I probably could find little legal pads, the yellow and the white ones with, here's the finance plan for this year, or here's how I'm going to get ahead in business, or here's my prospecting plan, or funnels, or something else. If you're a marketer, you probably have those written down somewhere. Or you have DVDs or VHS tapes on how to get ahead and time management, or an old VHS like here's how to get ripped, or 6-pack abs, or 3-part abs, or some sort of a plan on how you can get ahead. But if it was that easy, if all you needed was a plan, you'd probably have everything you want. You wouldn't be watching this video and you'd be traveling all over the world doing the things you really want to be doing. And I want to show you how to really get this or be reality and get what it is you want, because it's not about having a plan. It's about making your dream life a reality, the thing that you want. So after doing a ton of research, and I've had clients that run $100 million companies, publicly traded billion-dollar companies, worked with athletes, movie stars, had a chance to research and meet people in special forces, Navy SEALs, Delta Force. And one of the things I recognized, and I remember reading this when I was looking at the best elite forces in the world, especially in the military, they said every great plan has been written in blood. Now, before you get angry and before you become a person worried about bleeding or maybe you faint, my question for you is this. It isn't about blood, it's about things not working out exactly as they expected. So if we backtrack out of the military for a second and you think of a company as simple as Apple computers. When Steve Jobs first got started and Wozniak and him got together, they wanted to sell computers. But what's fascinating is the plan they wound up with, where they're at today, where they're like one of the largest companies, if not the largest company in the world, is they sell music, phones, apps, different things like that. It's amazing what it is they've achieved, because what they planned to do and where they wound up is something totally different. What they've mastered is what those military ops guys have mastered is simply this: the ability to get yourself to take action. So we go back to that military book I read. They said, you know what? We want to plan. We want to take the hill. Let's get moving. Guy gets shot, we say, bam, that was a bad idea. The key is, how do I get myself to take action consistently? Now, you're watching this right now and you're probably saying, Michael, I'm already an action taker. Or, you're right, Michael, I got it. I need to get moving. What I mean by action is, the second you get moving, what'll happen for you is the same thing that's happened to me in the past. I remember a couple years back, I said, Michael, I want to get in better shape. And I talked to myself, I had a plan to get in better shape. So you know what I did? I did the first step. I got myself to go running. And what was fascinating, once I started running that day, once you get yourself moving, the biochemistry in your brain starts to change immediately. My plan started to change. I started to think about really great things. So it isn't really about getting 6-pack abs. It's about getting on the floor and doing those first set of sit-ups. It isn't about a 7-figure business. It's mapping out and starting and doing things, getting the domain name, doing the things you need to do, calling the person, making the sale, hiring the person. Take action, because once you take action, here's where the magic kicks in. And this is what, for the last 15 years, I have been known to do for people. This is the hidden thing that I do that I want to share with you today. Because once you take action, our job is to figure out how you could start getting momentum on a regular basis. Now let's think of that word for a second, momentum. It's I get started, I create consistency, you get what it is that you want. Once you can be a person, and I already know you can do this, you push play, you're watching this video right now, you know how to take action. My job is to how do you make that consistent in your life so getting your plan winds up being something that you naturally do on a regular basis. So I want you to think about this right now. How much different would your life be if you just did the things you wanted to do? How much different would your life be if, anybody can work out for 7 days, anybody can work on their business for a week, but imagine you did it for 6 months. Imagine you did it for a year. Where would you wind up? And how many of those yellow legal pads would you have where you can go, check mark, I did it, check mark, I did it, check mark, I did it. So if you're the type of person and you say, I got something that I want, because you know you do or you wouldn't be watching this right now, and you don't want to be one of those people that's just chasing plans and you're willing to take a little action, I want to show you how simple it is for you to start creating momentum in your life and invite you to join me and work together interactively with me on a program that I call Call to Action. Now, this program is so powerful because I have for the last 15 years worked on reducing every barrier that you can ever have to get yourself to become a person of action. I want to show you exactly how you can understand your inner workings, understand your very specific, custom-tailored motivation strategy, what moves you and gets you moving in the right direction. Now, I ask people all the time if you like to travel, and that may be great if you like to travel. The best part about this program, you don't have to travel anywhere. You pick up the phone from anywhere, you dial in from your home, your office, wherever it is that you want to be, and you and I work together in a small group setting for a few days, 4 or 5 days, you and I working together an hour or so a day, and my guarantee has been very simple for 5 years and tens of thousands of people that you will get more done in 5 days than you have in 5 months. Now, I don't mean just getting little things done. I mean the things that matter in your life that you've been putting off. Do you know that there's specific reasons, little things, games that you play, why it is you avoid doing the things you want to do? There's a curve that you get to that I want to share with you how to stop doing. That when you start getting what it is you want, when you stop, I'm going to show you how to insert a little something so you keep going and keep that momentum going. I'm also going to share with you the fourth piece of the puzzle is how you can develop the resources that you need. People say, Michael, what is the influence skills that I need? How do I get myself moving? What you don't realize is, and you're going to begin to realize right now, is that we're going to be working in a group setting and I'm going to be sharing different motivation strategies for people. So if you're in business or sales or you have children or family and you want to learn how to move other people, how exciting is it going to be that I'm going to share with you exactly how to move different types of people? What's that going to be worth to your bank account? What's that going to be worth to your life? So here's the opportunity for you and I to work together and not develop another plan because you have enough of those, but to start checking off the things and start developing the confidence and the charisma to do the things that you really want to be doing with your life. Because at the end of the day, having a plan or just getting yourself to get going for 7 days, that's cute and all. Getting yourself to make it who it is you are really is the difference. So 5 days, we're going to show you how to not just get out of your comfort zone, start doing the things you want to be doing. And I'm not talking about just jumping out of a plane. I mean, literally doing the things you want to be doing on a regular basis. Imagine how exciting it's going to be that you're picking up the phone more often and you're making more calls. How exciting is it going to be that you're finally getting that ad out that you wanted to do to start marketing for your business? It could be as simple as you're putting yourself out there, hiring that person, or finally having the courage to have the motivation to fire that person that shouldn't be there in your life, or having the courage to have that tough conversation with that person that you care about. So you and I working together on the most important person in the world, you. You got to learn how to give yourself that gift. I find we give things to our business, you give stuff to your family, but when's the last time you gave yourself the gift of learning how you operate to start making your life even easier? So I want to remove the barrier for you of time. We run the course every single month. We have a morning session, a night session, so it doesn't matter what kind of schedule you have, you and I get a chance to work together directly from your home. So let me tell you exactly what happens next. You click the register button, and the next thing is you'll get a phone call from our company within 48 hours. Your accountability partner, which is an extra bonus with the course, normally a $250 value, I'm throwing in for free. Your accountability partner is going to call you. They're going to ask you some questions that we've scripted to get you custom plans so you get the most out of the program. So on this page, you will see a very, very simple register now button. Click the button and decide to get started. Do this for you because I believe if we live in a world of people that can start taking more action, create more momentum, not only can we have a more effective world around us, but also these are going to be the people that later on they come to me and say, hey, Michael, now that I have a 7-figure business, can you help me make it 8, 9, 10 figures? Let me help you get started. Let me show you the next steps. If you want momentum in your life, it's literally about learning how to get yourself to specifically take action and start getting what you want. Let's do it together.
So if I had to talk to myself 3.5 years ago, and if in that moment
I didn't make that choice to do the call to action and gone through this whole transformative process, because that's what it was, I don't know that I'd be alive today, to be very honest with you. I mean, at the weight that I was and everything that I was doing, and how I was literally going through all this in my personal life and my business, and it was really so difficult. I can't even tell you that I would be alive today. So I hope it's not that bad for someone who's on the fence. I don't wish that on anybody. But I'm just saying, if Michael can make such a dramatic change in my life, which I would say was really screwed up at that time, although on the outside it looked okay, if you just have one little thing you need to change about yourself, why wouldn't you do that? Because no matter what, you're going to come out better, you're going to feel stronger, and you're going to be able to do whatever it is that you want. And that's the one thing that Michael does put in you. We all feel it, we all know it. There isn't anything we can't do if we want it.
Well, Michael's clearly a passionate individual, and that's something for me personally that I've always wanted to work on. It's an experience where you change in a lot of different ways. You learn a lot about yourself. I've clearly, as an individual, I just have a better understanding of who I am, and just an awareness, a heightened awareness of what's going on, both in my own head, which I find empowering, reducing my internal resistance I have towards things. I'm a pretty pragmatic individual, and Michael is really teaching me to be more creative, to really sort of act from my gut, which I feel is what I need to really get to that next level and reach my true potential.
Michael has a unique talent that probably is less than the 0.001% in the world. And that's an ability to help every single individual improve, find what's holding them back personally, professionally, family, or whatever it is, and not just figure it out, but then also teach you how to fix it. And he's not going to fix it for you. He can, but it's a whole lot more powerful if he can teach you how to fix it yourself.
Within the first probably 5 minutes, I knew that I could trust him. And I knew that this was going to be different than any other experience I've ever experienced. There was something about him. I knew that he had something that I didn't yet. And that was something that I really liked. He sucked me into this realm. I don't even know. And he wasn't even specifically talking directly to me, but I was 100% feeling like he was talking directly to me. I've been able to use and implement the tools that Michael has been able to teach me. I can go around it. I can jump over. I can get a rope and swing over that fire now, because I've been able to learn through the tools and the teachings that he's been able to teach, to be able to push myself a little bit harder, a little bit further. I'm no longer that girl anymore. I am this woman, and I am pushing forward, and I know how to do it.
From experience with Michael, my life has gotten better. The people around me's life has gotten better. And the people that I associate myself, their lives get better. And they all look at me saying, what do you do? What are you doing? How do you get, they're just blown away how I get here.
My wife's now involved. My brother's doing call to action. Any opportunity I get to talk about this experience is great. And most people typically come to me because they see that I'm changing, and they kind of want to know about why that is. And it's because of this experience I've gone through.